And because the interpersonal connections that we have, like we don't live in caves. We do live very isolated because we don't know how to live in tandem anymore. We have lost sight of that for a lot of reasons. One being the Industrial Revolution and how that changed the natural rhythms that we were living in before that. And so we are not as good anymore knowing how to communicate, how to be interdependent, how to live communally. I think we're hopefully seeing a trend that is moving away from that, where we are relearning how to communicate. We are relearning how to live interdependently, but it is a big ship. And so because of that, because the mind body can't be disconnected, and because humans can't be disconnected, because we do live in a society, unless you go live in a cave, and a few people do, but most of us don't. Most of us don't go live in a desert by ourselves. Most of us live in society, and society is made up of relationships. And so when we ignore the body, we ignore the mind, and when we ignore the mind, things fall apart. When that falls apart, relationships fall apart, and when relationships fall apart, society falls apart. And so literally it's all interconnected. We can't ignore the body without society itself falling apart. And it's that important. It's that integral. It's that unavoidable. You have to care for the body in order to care for relationship, and you have to care for relationship in order to care for society.
Wow.
So if we want to see a healthier globe, if we want to see a healthier country, if we want to see healthier family, if we want to see healthier relationships, we have to care for the body. It's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And that's where emotions happen. That's where trauma is stored. One of the thoughts I had just in the last 2 weeks, I'm not sure where it came from, but you hear the phrase, feel your feelings. Just now, after 5 years of research, just now dawned on me that what feel your feelings literally means is to feel. So it's like feeling the feeling, right? So I think when we hear feel your feelings, or I know this is true for me, I'm immediately in my head. I'm immediately thinking, oh, okay, so I need to focus on the story that's connected to the feelings, to the emotions. And it just in the last 2 weeks occurred to me that what that literally means is to just stay with the feeling itself. Just like if you're hot, feel the hot. If you're cold, feel the cold. If someone's tapping your arm, feel the tap. If there's water running on your skin, feel the water. And it's the same with emotion. So emotion happens in our body. Pain, yes, physical pain, we all know what that feels like. But emotional pain, or any emotional experience, any emotional sensation, happens in the body. So what we do, because we've been programmed to focus on the mind. We've been programmed to ignore the body. So what we do is we stay in the mind. We keep our attention in the mind. We keep our attention on the story that's connected to the sensation. So one of the things that I've been doing with myself, with my clients, with my spouse, whether he likes it or not, is, or with you earlier this morning, where are you feeling that in your body? Most people can't answer you when you ask them that. Not at first, because they've never been asked that. They've never paused. All they know is, well, I can tell you the story. I felt hurt that you didn't call me. I felt mad that I was stuck in traffic. Okay, but where are you feeling? That's not a feeling. Mad that you're stuck in traffic is a story. The feeling is happening in your body. And so for a lot of us, it takes practice. You won't be able to answer that question. A lot of us cannot answer that question. Not at first. It takes practice to get back to that. But here's the trick. If we don't feel the feeling, it stays stuck in the body. If we don't feel it. So it's not if we don't think it. It's not if we don't stick with the story or give attention to the story. It's if I don't give love and attention to my achy chest and to my twisted stomach and to my throat that feels like I can't speak or swallow, and to my scalp when it's tingly, and to my feet when they ache, if I don't give attention to that, that emotion gets stuck, and that emotion rewires my nervous system and rewires my brain and changes my future. It changes my health, the health of my future. It changes my relationships. It changes my beliefs. It changes how I communicate. And so when we say feel your feelings, which of course with connection codes, that's the whole point. That's a lot of what we're talking about is feel your feelings. But what we mean is literally feel them. Feel your feelings. So you have an interaction, you have an experience, or you just have a memory. I can feel feelings just from having memories. Nothing happens. I'm in a room where nothing's happening. No one's here. everything is neutral. I've not been triggered by any environmental factor. I'm comfortable environmentally. But then I have a memory of a painful interaction I had with a friend 5 years ago. And suddenly my body is tingling. And suddenly my stomach is hurting. And suddenly my chest is aching just from the memory of the interaction that I had 5 years ago, right? Okay, so we talked about meeting the physical needs. That's a huge step in reestablishing health and reestablishing communication and connection and trust. Another really, really, really important step is that when you get triggered by something, whether it's environmental, relational, or just a thought that you yourself had in your own mind with nothing else happening, and you notice, and this is part of the practice, is slowing down enough to notice, right? What you may notice, because I can remember if I rewind before 2017, all I would notice is that I was uncomfortable. It's just this feeling of like, ugh, like I just feel yuck. Like I just don't want to be here. I do not want to be here. I don't want to do this. But I couldn't get past that. All I knew was that I was uncomfortable. And so it would come out sideways. Like it was such a mess. I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to get curious. I didn't know what was happening in my own body. And so once I had the language and all these steps to then understand, it's being able to slow down to go, oh, that pain or whatever that emotion is that happened, I'm feeling it right here. And so you can literally touch with your hand as though you are your own parent, as though you are your own lover, as though you are your own partner, because you are your own partner, to touch that place in your body, that part of your body, whether it's your shoulders, maybe it's your throat. I find myself touching my throat a lot these days. It's very connected to my trauma. It's connected to my stories. It's connected to my history of feeling silenced, of feeling like I couldn't express, right? So I have a lot of pain that comes up in my throat. And so I will love myself through touching my own throat when I notice that, when I notice my throat feel like it's closing up, when I notice the ache, when I notice those memories coming back and I feel the sensation happening, where I'll just touch with love, right? With love, with compassion, with curiosity of, okay, I feel that. And one way to talk about it too is the idea of dropping below the story. So the story exists in your mind, the language that's connected to it, the memories that are connected to it, the story itself, literally story, like as in you read a storybook, right? So once upon a time, the end. Those narratives are in the mind. And that has value too, because our minds are part of the whole thing, right? So that deserves its own attention. That deserves its own time, but it's a separate thing. So when you're trying to feel your feelings, which is so important so that they process through, so that they don't get stuck, so that the cascade of consequences doesn't happen, you want to drop below the story. One of the visualizations I use for that is clouds. So if any of you have flown on an airplane, if you picture your view is different, whether you are above the clouds, in the clouds, or below the clouds. Okay? You're still in the plane. You're still flying to your destination, but what you can see and experience is going to change based on where you are in conjunction with the clouds. So same idea with the story. So the story's happening up here, but we want to drop below the clouds. We want to drop below the story to be able to feel our feelings. And that just means, all it means, it's the simple act of moving our attention. So move your attention from the story you are hearing in your own mind down into the sensation you are feeling in your own body. And you can also do that with touch. You can touch with your hand, or you can just do it with your attention, where you're just moving your energy, moving your attention, moving your focus from the story and the language and the narrative and the once upon a time, the end, down into, my stomach. Oh, the pain. Oh, the discomfort. Oh, the ache. Oh, the tension. Just moving it down and just letting it exist. Don't resist it. Don't try to get it to stop. It'll stop on its own when it's ready. And most likely it'll stop more quickly. It's paradoxical, right? It'll stop more quickly when you give it attention than when you don't. But that's not the goal. The goal is not to get it to end. The goal is just to be present with it. In the same way that when you have a friend or a partner or a child, the goal is to be present with their emotion, not to try to get their emotion to stop. The goal is just to be present with their emotion. Same thing. The goal is to be present with the ache in my belly, with the ache in my chest, with the ache in my throat. Just love it. Just be there for it. Just witness it. And then it'll work itself out.
Yeah. I love that. And what's firing for me is the question of what's happening. What's happening?
Yeah.
Like I love that question.
Curiosity.
Instead of why am I feeling like this? Why am I uncomfortable? Ooh, what's happening for me? And creating that curiosity does help you to get in touch with your body, with what's firing for you. And so I think that that's a good reminder of switching that question out. And I think this entire conversation is so helpful for so many of us because our health does matter. Our bodies do matter, and we don't talk about them enough. I love because Bridget is also, there's going to be a podcast. I don't know if it's going to be before or after, and she's talking a lot about the body as well. And it really is something that, and the way that you and Bridget talk about it is brand new information for me. Something I've, even how y'all call it she, like you talk about your body as like a different entity. Yeah. Brand new information, never done that before. And so I think that it is so important to bring our community into this conversation as well, because it is so impactful. And Phyllis, you sharing so vulnerably about your journey with your body and what you're doing to love your body well right now. We have so many people email in and check on you, and they're in similar situations. And so I think that this conversation is really impactful.